Welcome, everyone. And a little bit of, about myself. I'm Batuhan Azeloğlu, a Turkish person, a Turkish polyglot who speaks English, French, Spanish, German, and Portuguese, along with Turkish for sure, which is my native language. I'm a language enthusiast, and I took some language tests. I'm officially C2 in French and Spanish, etc. So, long story short, I'm a language enthusiast, and I decided to give this speech in order to give you more insights into the amazing, fabulous history of Turkic languages. So, we can begin with our slide. When we are talking about the Turkic languages, we need to talk about what is it, because basically Turkic languages are a set of languages that are agglutinative. So instead of conjugating verbs and adding words one after another, you use suffixes in order to obtain new meanings. So, for example, mutlu means happy, and mutsuz means unhappy, sad. It's a complex language structure, and it is SOV, so the verb comes at the end. There are a lot of properties, but in short, the Turkic languages share this common structure. So now we can talk about its history. The origin of the Turkic languages. I'm going to read a bit of the slide too, because it's sometimes hard for me to retain all this information. The Turkic language family is a set of languages that were spoken by the Turkic tribes in the east of Central Asia, and this language family is derived from another language family, a wider language family called Proto-Altaic languages, which was also a part of the Proto-Uralic Altaic languages that split off into Proto-Uralic and Proto-Altaic. And the Proto-Uralic language family gave us, a little bit later, the Finnic languages like Estonian and Finnish. And the Uralic part gave us the Mongolian languages, the Tungus languages, and the Turkish languages, the Turkic language, sorry. The word Turk designated once a set of nomadic tribes that initially inhabited the eastern part of Central Asia. So this is basically today's Mongolia. But later in history, they migrated westwards and split off into numerous subcultures, adopting customs and different religions. And on the screen, on the left, you see a drum. This is a shamanic pagan drum that was used in religious rites when, old pagan Turkic tribes were interring someone, burying someone, or maybe practicing a religious ceremony. They used this drum. I just wanted to add it for more visualization. And also, we have today in the world six Turkic countries that are fully independent. There are autonomous Turkic countries like the Republic of Yakutsk in Russia, but they are not fully independent. So on the screen, you see their maps from left to right: Turkey, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan. And then let's take a look at how they sprouted. I already talked about that. This is a vast language family, and as you see on the chart, the Proto-Turkic languages are, supposedly date back to around 3500 BC and 500 BC. That's a vast time span. And this is so because we do not have any written evidence. So all we have is basic conjectures, estimations, and what we have of the Turkic languages and also of the Turkish history of that time is basically the archives of other nations, such as the Byzantines, the Chinese, the Indians, the Persians. And also, I would like to add this part that some historians, especially those chauvinistic Turkish historians, claim Japonic and Koreanic languages to be part of this family. I do not claim it, but people say that Japonic languages share some common features with Turkic languages and Koreanic ones too. They are SOV structure. They're agglutinative, so they should be in this part, but this is still in dispute. And also, Proto-Turkic languages split off into two different branches: Common Turkic languages and Proto-Oghuz. It's not R, it's Z, Proto-Oghuz languages. Maybe it's Oghur too. There's a bit of ambiguity about linguistic classification, but I will call it Oghuz. So Here's a map of the distribution of Turkic languages across Europe and Asia. Basically, for you to understand, I'm a Turkish person from the western part of Turkey. So I'm in the red part, dark red part, and those matching colors are mutually intelligible. At least the most matching colors are the most mutually intelligible languages between each other. So if you look at the western bank of the Black Sea, you see the Gagos, and on the western bank of the Caspian Sea, you see Azerbaijani, and they are totally familiar to me. I can understand them, though I cannot speak them. I understand 99%, and it would take me around maybe one day and at most 2 days to get used to the language and be able to produce it. It goes for Turkmen too. But when it comes to Kazakh or Kyrgyz or Uzbek, it would be a bit harder for me to decipher the meaning of the conversation I am having with that person, but I would still understand at least half of the conversation. But it would certainly take me at least a month to get used to. And I said Uzbek, but Uzbek belongs to this one. Sorry for the mistake. Uzbek and Uyghur, those blue languages, are a bit farther away in the language family from Turkish of Turkey, on which we are mainly focusing in this conversation, in this talk today. So I do not understand them. They are quite different. I can catch some parts, but they are not as familiar as Azerbaijani. And if you go to Yakutsk, or if you talk about the Dolgan dialect of Turkic languages, nothing is familiar. I do not even understand good morning. Nothing. So now, this is a map that I made by myself, and on the right, you see countries shown and the names of the countries, their founder, and their peak time leader. They are not very important. You can take a look at them. And I do not have time to, focus on all these details. So please do not hesitate to take a screenshot at any time. This is unofficial beginning of the Turkish history. Scythians and Hunnic Empire. Please beware that they did not exist at the same time. There's a long time period of difference between them. But what you should realize that these empires, these kingdoms, were the ancestors of what was going to become Turkic. They had that nomadic culture, and they had an administrative system that was similar to ours, but they did not use the word Turk. So we cannot say exactly that they were Turkish. The relation they have with Turks today is the same relationship that the Romans have with Italians or the French or the Spanish. And moving a bit forward in history, we have Hunnic empires and the Xianpei Empire. So first of all, we have the European Hunnic Empire around the Black Sea, founded by Balamir, and its peak time leader is Attila, the famous Attila. And we also have, White Huns and Alkan Huns around India and Persia. And we have Xianpei Empire in the north of China. Here, what you should realize is that we do not have any written documents. So we do not have any evidence about how they spoke. We do not know how Hunnic sounded like. So this is a prehistory of Turkic languages. And also, there's a lot of assimilation, so we do not know to what extent they were Turkic. So, for example, Xianpei Empire will collapse later in history, and there will be more succeeding kingdoms that were so-called Turkic, but they used Chinese as their administrative language. They adopted Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism as their religion, and they settled down instead of being nomadic. So it is up to debate, to what extent they were Turkish. Now let's talk about the unwritten tradition. Until the 8th century, nothing was written down. Therefore, the sole historic sources, as I stated on the slide, we can refer to are the chronicles and archives of other nations, the Byzantines, the Persians, the Chinese, etc. But those pre-Turkic tribes passed down a rich oral tradition abundant in epics. And they basically talk about the emergence of Turkic tribes, their prowesses, and our history, but it's very mythical. So if you are into Turkish mythology, I suggest you read them. Some examples are like the Ergenekon, the Epic of August Khan or August Kagan, as many Anglo-Saxons would call them, in English-speaking people, the Epic of Attila, the Epic of Shiampe, and the Epic of the Wolf, the symbolic animal of the Turks. And on the right, I have an example of this tradition, the elegiac epic of Alpertunga. Alpertunga was a mythical leader of the Scythians. And when he died, this, sort of song, this elegy was sung in his memory. On the left, its original version, and on the right, modern Turkish version. So I read, Alper Tunga öldü mü, ıssız ajun kaldı mı, ödlek öçün aldı mı, emdi yürek yırtılır. And if I were to read it with the modern Turkish version, I would say, Alper Tunga öldü mü, dünya ıssız kaldı mı, felek öcünü aldı mı, şimdi yürek yırtılır. And it means, did Alper Tunga die? Did the poor world remain unheaded? Did the fate take its revenge? Now the heart is breaking. So, okay, we have unwritten tradition, we have an unwritten literature. So when we will start writing things down, just like the Scandinavians, we do not have anything written down about the Vikings except, Sinordur, or that famous person. So we have such personages in our history too, and here they are. Now you see two of the most important Turkic countries in the late, or in the Middle Ages, I would say, in the medieval ages. We have, first of all, the Köktürk Empire that did not last long, because they lasted around 30 years. Then a second Köktürk Empire was founded, and it did not last long either. But its importance is that they were the first country in history to use the word Turk, Turk. So they marked the official beginning of Turkish history. This is why they are so important to us. And on the other hand, we have the Khazars, and those Khazars are, and I have a mistake here. I will correct myself. Let me talk about the Khazars first. The Khazars are important to us because they are the longest lasting Turkic kingdom after the Ottomans. Ottomans lasted 600 years and the Khazars 400 years. And they were the first, and the last Jewish country in our history. Yes, they adopted Judaism. And also we have the Avars, and disputedly the first Bulgarian kingdom, which was originally Tingreist, old Turkic religion. I added it on the map, but it's up to debate. I'm of Bulgarian origin myself too, so please, no hard feelings. And the mistake is on the right for the peak time leader. I said Attila. It's not Attila. It's probably miswritten, but I do not know who was the peak time leader of the Avars. So this is a self-correction. So what you see here is a Khazar coin. This is what the Khazars used as their coin, and that was, dug out. This was excavated in Gotland, Sweden. Yes, you heard me right. So this clearly demonstrates to what extent they were influential in commerce and diplomacy, because many people could use their coins in different places of the world. So, okay, they were powerful, they were quite influential, and interestingly, they had a mixture of cultures, because the Khazars were Jewish, but there were a lot of Muslims and Christians living together. So that gave us the term Pax Cumanicus, the peace of the Cumans, the peace of the Khazars. Because all the three Abrahamic religions coexisted harmoniously. Even in tribunals in the court, there were three judges of three different Abrahamic religions: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And here on this coin, there's an inscription in Arabic. I don't know why. And it says, Moses is the messenger of God. So this shows the richness of Turkish history, but still we do not have those tangible evidence of Turkic languages. So we need to move forward. Now let's talk about the oldest traces of Turkic languages. Proto-Turkic is believed to have featured many particularities because they were quite isolated from the external world, except Chinese, which had a great influence on us. But we lacked a written document, as I say on the slide. But we have two of them in the 7th and 8th centuries. They are the Yenisei inscriptions on the left and the Orkan inscriptions on the right. The first one is located in modern day Russia, and the second one is located in modern day Mongolia. So let's take a look at the Orkan inscriptions. They are the first written documents, or I should say, inscriptions in Turkish. They were found discovered during Nikolai Yadrintsev's expedition in 1889 and deciphered by the Danish philolog Wilhelm Thomson in 1893. Uh, Thanks to the fact that one facade had a Chinese inscription. So please do not misinterpret me. These steles are not close to one another because if you look at the image in the middle, you will see that it's in the middle of the desert. But on the right, you see a tree right behind the stele. They are quite far away from each other, and they have one facade written in Chinese. This shows how much the Chinese influenced us. They are located on that dot in the map, and here's a little bit of more information. They use the old runic alphabet. And the most tangible example of this writing system is that word, as you see on the left down below. This is the word Turk, and you will see it a lot of times on the windshields of cars in Turkey, maybe on windows of nationalist people, because it says Turk from right to left, Turk. And I also specify that the old runic Turkic alphabet was written from top to down in steles, but on written documents, on books, it was from right to left. So now let's take a look at the Yenisei inscriptions. They are generally tombstones that contain 5 to 10 lines of words talking about the defunct person, the dead person. They date back to a period between the 8th and 10th centuries AD and bear traces of all Turkic religions, namely shamanism and Tingrism. But here, I need to specify that when I was studying at secondary school, they taught me that the oldest evidence of Turkic languages was the Orkan inscriptions. Then, in the late, uh, in the recent years, during last years, they found out these Yenisei inscriptions, and not all of them are earlier than the Orkan inscriptions, just some of them. And here's an example text. I suggest you take a screenshot. Here's a Turkish translation and an English translation, but I'm going to skip it for now if you take your screenshot. And also another writing to take a screenshot of. Probably you will not have any other translation of this text. I searched it a lot. I could not find. So instead, I translated it by myself into English, French, and Spanish. Here you see the text in its original language, written with the old runic alphabet. In the middle, it's transliteration, so from one alphabet to another without changing the sound. And down below, you see the modern Turkish version. And on the right, you see its translation. And this is from the steles of the Orkan inscriptions. Now we are uh, in the 8th and 10th centuries, and we have two other countries that were so important in our history. We have Pechenegs too, but I just added them for visualization, as I said. So let me talk about first the Uyghur Khaganate, because they were the first ones to create literary works as books or manuscripts. So, okay, I need to move forward here. The Uyghurs were the first country to settle down. Normally, we were nomadic, but the Uyghurs settled down. And another particularity of the Uyghurs is that they converted to, uh, in the first place, Manichaeism, then into Buddhism, and they created many literary works about these religions. As you see here, I have 5 works, and four of them are about Buddhism. Red ones and the yellow one, but I put Urkbitik in yellow because it's a very special, a very important book. It's about divination. But here we have red ones about Buddhism, like Altun Yaruk, the Golden Light Sutra, which is not an authentic work but rather a translation. Sekiz Hikmek, the Eight Beams of Light, and Bogu Kağan'ın Mani rahipleriyle konuşması, which is Bogu Kağan's dialogues with many king priests, Kalyanamkara and Papamkara, which is some Hindu texts as far as I know, and Urkbitik, the Book of Divination. So get ready to take a screenshot because it's great. Yes, arithmetic is the first and probably the only, as far as we know, as far as we have evidence of it, the only complete work written in the old runic alphabet. This is a bilingual manuscript found in Mogao caves in 1907 by Oral Stein, by the Hungarian British archaeologist Oral Stein, and they also contain, its pages contain Chinese religious texts, but basically it's a book of divination. So how? By the way, this is the real book, so that's why I suggested you take a screenshot. You can take a screenshot here too. This is from Wikipedia. You see the divinations. In order to predict the future, you had to throw 3 dice, and when they aligned in a certain way, you read that omen that corresponded to those dice. For example, if your dice, just like down below on the right, 443, then you have to read the omen 11. And let's read. Messengers on a yellow horse and a dark brown horse bring good news, and this is a very good prognostication. If it were 343, a hunter falls over, and this is a bad prognostication. So this gives a lot of insights into Turkish mythology. I suggest you read it. You will probably have a translation on the internet, but I'm not sure. Now let's talk about the mass conversion into Islam, and the Turks will be identified with Islam as of this moment. Karakhanids. As I said, Karakhanids and Uyghurs are very important because Uyghurs created the first literary texts, and the Karakhanids created the first literary texts about Islam with the Arabic script, and they converted into Islam. Some Bulgarian tribes converted into Islam before the Karakhanids, but there's still a debate whether they are Turkish or not, of Turkic origin or not, whether they were a state or not. So they do not count exactly, at least here in Turkey. So we recognize the Karakhanids as the first Turkic country to embrace Islam in history. And they, what did I say here? Sorry for the slip of the tongue. As of this moment, mass conversions, either voluntary or by force, occurred because of the geographical proximity. It was the Persians who had transmitted Islam to the Turks, so the Turkic languages and their literature would be deeply influenced by Farsi. Here's another map. A lot of Turkic countries, hard to name them all. We still have the Karakhanids, but we have the Ghaznavids, founded by Mahmud of Ghazna, and the Seljukids, founded by Seljuk Bey, and the Ptolemies, the first Turkic country to be ever founded in Egypt. Then there was a second one, as far as I remember, maybe 2. So let's talk about the first literary works under Islamic influence. And let me go back to the previous one. We will talk about the Kipchaks too. So please retain it. But Oguz Yakbu is not that important for now. All the literary works that were written after the mass conversion to Islam have the religious and linguistic influence of Farsi in common. Here, 4 of them. Kutadgu Bilig, The Information That Gives Happiness, its translation as a title, by Yusuf Has Hacip. Atabetül Hakaik, The Threshold of Good Information, by Edip Ahmet Yükneki. Kutadgu Bilig is the first political book, and Atabetül Hakaik is probably the first religious book about Islam. Then we have Divan Lugat Türk by Mahmud of Kashgar. This is very important because this is the first Turkish dictionary. This basically means the Divan of the Dictionary of the Turks. Then we have Divan Hikmet, the Divan of the good information, or I do not remember the translation. Hakaik might be truth and Hikmet might be good information, or vice versa. So these works represent a transitional epoch from the old pagan tradition to to the new Islamic one. Therefore, the themes mainly revolve around religious matters and ethical questions, except Divan Turk, which is the first Turkish dictionary written to teach Arabs the Karakhanid dialect, the Karakhanid Turkish. It explains the Turkish words and proverbs in Arabic, and also contains a circular map. This one you see on the slide, in the end, showing the Turkic tribes. Sorry. This map, is a circular map. There is east, north, west, south, and there are inscribed names of Turkic tribes, and this is very important. Then a transliterated excerpt from Kutadgu Bilig. I did not translate it. I took it as translated. So I read it. On the left, it's the original text. Kılıç teper erken tağı tepremez. Kılıç kanka girse bey inçlik yemez. Kılıç til tüser hem budun kazganur. Kalem il tüzer hem hazine urur. Kılıç kan tamarsa beyi alur. Kalemden kara tamsa altın kelür. This would be in modern Turkish from Turkey. Kılıç deprenirken düşman deprenemez. Kılıç kına girince beyin içi rahat edemez. Kılıç hem yurdu düzenler hem de halkı kazanır. Kalem yurdu düzeltir ve hazineyi korur. Kılıç kan damlattıkça bey fetihler yapar. Kalemden kara mürekkep damlasa altın gelir. Meaning, translation into English, while the sword shakes, the enemy does not. When the sword is sheathed, the Lord is never peaceful. The sword both puts the nation in order and wins the folk. The plume puts the nation in order and secures the treasury. If the blood drips from the sword, the bag carries out the conquests, the Lord. If the black ink drips from the plume, gold comes in. As I said, Kutadgu Bilig was a bit political. Then let's talk about an exotic language of Turkic origin, Armeno-Kipchak. Many of Kipchak people converted into Christianity, but they did not have a writing system to write down their prayers, so they adopted Armenian script. And this one on the screen that you see is a manuscript, probably in Paris, France today, containing the Lord's Prayer, as far as I remember, but it's a prayer from Christianity, but I don't know if it's the Lord's Prayer or another one. And on the left, it's Armeno-Kipchak, and on the right, it's modern Turkish. Atamız bizim... Now, sorry, I got a bit excited. Atamız bizimki köktesen, arı bolsun atın senin, kelsin hanlığın senin, bolsun erkin senin neçik gökte alay yerde, ötmek imizli bizim gündelik ber bizge bugün, boşat bizge borçumuzlu bizim, ne çık ki biz boşatır biz borçlularımızga, bermegin bizni sınamahlıkka, yoksa hutkar bizni yamandan, zere senindir hanlık da huvat, da sana haybat menilik. Amen. The Lord's Prayer. And now, the modern Turkish version. Göklerdeki babamız, adın kutsal kılınsın. Egemenliğin gelsin. Gökte olduğu gibi yeryüzünde de senin isteğin olsun. Bugün bize gündelik ekmeğimizi ver. Bize karşı suç işleyenleri bağışladığımız gibi sen de bizim suçlarımızı bağışla. Ayartılmamıza izin verme. Bizi kötü olandan kurtar. Zira egemenlik, güç ve yücelik sonsuzlara dek senindir. Amen. So, this is the Armeno-Kipchak language. Then, the last part before the Republican era, we have a lot more countries, and we cannot talk about all of them. And all of them are very important, especially Chagatai. That brown country gave us another dialect of Turkic languages. So from Chagatai are derived Uyghur and Uzbek languages. And also we have Nogai, that purple country, which still has another dialect on its own. And we have the Ottomans, that will later become Turkey, and the Mamluks. You will not believe that the Mamluks were Turkish. They were not, but the administrative elite in the beginning was Turkish. Even in the administrative archives, the name of the country was Et Devleti Türkiye, meaning the state of Turkiye, as Turkey changed its name today. But the population was Arabic, the religion was Islam, and the administrative bureaucracy was not exactly what you would expect from Turkic people. So they got later assimilated, or maybe dethroned, I should say. Now we have Mamluk Kipchak, because the Mamluk administrative elite used Mamluk Kipchak Turkic. I do not have a manuscript to show you, but I have some works written with this. Dictionaries and grammar books, let's take a look at them. I will just read the two of them. Those I can translate into English. Kitabul İdrak li Lisanil Etrak, which means the book of understanding of the language of the Turks. This is a dictionary. Kitab-ı Mecmu Tercüman-ı Türki ve Acemi ve Mugali, the book and magazine of translation of Turkish, Persian, and Mughal, that's Indian language. And also we have some other dictionaries and grammar books, and also we have texts of Islamic jurisprudence, so-called fiqh. But I think you got the meaning, you got the gist, so I skip it. Here we have the Ottomans, the longest lasting country in Turkish history. This is a Turkish principality, Beylik, founded with the Battle of Bephius, founded by a lord, Bey, by the name of Osman. Some historians claim Ataman for his name, saying Ottoman comes from this word because Ataman is a word of Turkic origin, but Osman is a word of Arabic origin. There's still a debate going around this. But this empire, in the end, lasted a very, very long time. It became, first of all, a state, then a kingdom, then an empire, and it gave us the Turkish Republic today. During the Ottoman era, the Anatolian dialect of Middle Turkish was mingled with Arabic and Farsi on religious grounds, giving rise to what many call the imperial language of Ottoman Turkish. So, we understood, as you saw in the beginning of the slide, even the unwritten tradition coming from probably 2500 years ago. And this one will be totally unintelligible in comparison with that one. This is probably just only 300 years ago, 500 years ago, but we are not going to understand anything because of this Arabic and Persian influence. So let's take a look at it. We have the royal literature that was dominated by this language. It's a very long literary current, just like classicism, romanticism, and realism, but that lasted 600 years. This was, in the beginning, during the decline of the Seljukids, it rose, then it flourished over the course of centuries with the Ottoman Empire. It's also called the Divan literature, and its language was Arabic, Persian, and some dialects of Middle Turkish, like Azerbaijani, Anatolian, and Chagatai. For sure, Middle Azerbaijani, Middle Anatolian, and Middle Chagatai. And here you have two works, one on the left and another one on the right. Divan written by Nefi and Divan written by Fuzuli. Here, I warn you, this is not the name of their work. Divan is a genre. But in the Divan literature, people did not name their works. They simply call them by their genres. So if it's like calling The Miserables the novel of Victor Hugo, calling Don Quixote, I don't know how to pronounce it, the novel of Cervantes. That's basically this. And also we have the Arabic script, just as we used it since the conversion into Islam. And in the middle, I have the elegy of Suleiman the Magnificent. As you remember, we already read an elegy for Alpertunga, which we could understand totally speaking Turkish. Here's the elegy of Suleiman the Magnificent, written by Baki. I read it. I do not have a translation. I do not understand it. Ey pay bendi dam gehi kaydı namunenk, ta ki hevayı meşgaleyi dehri bidirenk. An ol günü ki ahır olup nevbaharı ömr, bergi hazane dönse gerek ruyu lale renk. Ahır mekanın olsa gerek cüra gibi hak, devran elinde irse gerek camı Ayşe senk. İnsan odur ki ayine veş kalbi saf ola, sinende neyler Adem isan kineyi pelenk. I did not understand anything. And in the end, we have the Republican era. A very prestigious Ottoman soldier founded the Turkish Republic out of the ashes of the Ottoman Empire right after the First World War. This soldier was Mustafa Kemal. which was going to be called later Atatürk. He was going to receive this name, which means whose father is Turk, or the father of the Turks. And there is even a debate going around the meaning of Atatürk. Yes. But basically, what you should know about the Republican era is that the Turkish language was oversimplified. Some French words were Turkified, where some new inventions were made in order to replace French words, but mainly the Arabic words were replaced, like triangle, which was müselles in Ottoman Turkish, which became üçgen. Success, which was muvaffakiyet, became başarı. Custody, which was nezaret, became gözaltı. Revolution, which was inkılap, became devrim. Mature, which was reşit, became olgun. Vet, which was baytar, became veteriner, which is a totally French word. And here, some historians say that Atatürk has an aversion against the Arabs because of the treason he had to suffer in the Palestinian front in the First World War, because he was betrayed by the Arabic tribes, and probably he has sort of an enmity towards them. But this is pure speculation, so we cannot say anything. So I thank you for listening. This is the end, and now I can receive your questions. Oh, this was really hard for me. And you will see the map here. Questions from Brennan Ramsey. Do you anything about current research being done on the Cuman language? There are a lot in Turkey, but in the international community, probably not. Maybe some philologues do it, but I'm not sure. Da Mingliu is the Ashina tribe regarded as the founder of the Turkic culture. There is a debate going around this, as I said, but because of the Chinese influence, we do not know whether they were totally Turkish or totally Chinese, or somewhere right in the middle. Because when you even look at the name, it's Da Ming Liu, so it's Chinese, and probably they embraced Taoism and Buddhism, because Turks were very prone to change religion. Christoph, is Crimean Tatar mutually intelligible in Northern Turkish? To some extent, yes. I heard the Crimean Tatar speak, and I understand. I understood around 80% of the conversation. Yes, is Crimean Tatar mutually intelligible? What are your opinions on the Hunnic language? Very limited sources, being in the Oghuz language branch. I cannot think anything because we do not have any proof about how they sounded. So we do not know anything about it. Some people even claim Attila and the Hunnic empires to be of Gothic origin, of Germanic origin, which I do not believe. But I sincerely believe that Attila is way more Hungarian than Turkish. But Hungarians also come from the Central Asia. So it's no use debating about this. Daming Liu. Sorry. By the way, Daming Liu, is this your nickname? I really did. Sorry. I really made a mistake about this. Okay. Sorry. I do not know about this. I just thought of it as being a country, like, Damingli, because there are a lot of them. Just search for it on Wikipedia. Go to Turkish version. There are like Daminglu, Daminlo, Dabo countries that are claimed to be Turkish. I apologize to you for this mistake. So the Ashina tribe. Let's talk about the Ashina tribe. The previous question. I do not know anything about it. Okay, so I cannot answer this. So next question: why is Chuvash so different from the other Turkic languages? Chuvash is so different because it's split off very early in history, and it is spoken around, as far as I try to see, in Central Asia, or I don't remember where it was spoken, but even in Turkish literature, we call them a different lehçe. Lehçe being sort of a greater dialect. So it's not basically an accent or dialect. It's like a patua, or maybe almost a different language. So you cannot understand anything. When you listen to someone say good morning, you cannot understand it. And the main reason is because they got isolated, like lived in Siberia, away from, the Chinese, the Russians, the Persians, without interacting other Turkic tribes. So this is why. Was it a true historic account that at the establishment of Turkish Republic, linguistic experts were sent to Mongol plateau to search for all Turkic origin words to replace Arabic and Persian? I heard about it. Even Ataturk put forward a theory called the Sun language theory, which posits that all languages, including English, Arabic, even indigenous languages, come from Turkish. But this was because of political reasons. I am pretty sure that even Ataturk did not believe in this, but he tried to create a linguistic and cultural dominance in order to gain political influence on the international stage. Sofia Dorta Sofia Dorta, are the Turkic languages too different grammar-wise? They are not too different grammar-wise, but they have some differences. Like I say "ben" for I, and an Azerbaijani says "men" using "m," and they conjugate verbs with a different suffix. It is still the same suffix. I add probably the same suffix, but it has a different vowel. It has a different consonant. So for example, in the Armeno Kıpçak prayer, I'm not going to go back to that prayer. It says borçlularımız na, said na. Normally in Turkish, that suffix should be a, borçlularımıza. But in Armeno Kıpçak, it's na. Brennan Ramsey, have you looked into the Yeniseian language family influence? No, I haven't. Basically, I haven't. So I'm not going to talk about it. Uh, and here there is a question that I missed. Daming Liu again. I apologize to you once again. Can you give some personal account on how the Chingishid Mongol Empire had on the geographic distribution of Turkic languages as an aftermath? This is a very specific topic that I cannot talk about. Uh, you should probably you are not going to find any answers to this in English, so you will probably have to learn a couple of words in a couple of Turkish words and look it up on Wikipedia, Google Scholar, and some other places in Turkish. Yes, no more questions. Whew, that was hard. I thank you all, and let me show you. We have 2 minutes. Let me show you one last thing. Yes, here. Grammar wise, you see here, they say kelsin in the third line, kelsin, and we Turks say gelsin. Then they say bolsun in the second line, olmak, to be, and I say ol without be. Two more questions. I do not know if I have time. I have only 1 minute, so I will try to answer them very fast. Susanna Angelkovic, is not man same as in the old Turkish language? Yes. The modern Turkish from Turkey is a little bit more different than all the other languages. I'm not going to say corrupt by meaning it, but I'm going to use that word. Please do not misunderstand me. But the Turkish language from Turkey is way more corrupt than those spoken in Central Asia because they were more isolated and free of external influence. My last minute, Sofia Dorta. Silly question. How annoying is the Altaic family discussion to you as a Turk? Not that much. I'm really indifferent to this because many people say Hungarians are not Turkish. Some Hungarians say we are Turkish. I have never seen a Finnic person saying I am Turkish, but there are Turkish historians who claim them to be Turkish. There are Turkish historians who claim the indigenous Amerindian tribes like Cherokees to be Turkish. So also there is our own guilt on our parts because our historians are very chauvinistic too. It's not only Europe who always tries to expulse us and who always try to de-Turkify things, saying, well, Hungarians are not Turkish. It's sometimes us trying to make things way more Turker than they should be. So thank you all. My last 10 seconds, 5 seconds. See you later. Thank you all. Bye.